Fantasy book recommendations for every type of fantasy reader. For the newbie, someone who hasn't had the chance to dive into epic fantasy or any of these big, huge, long fantasy series but want to know what it's about, A Making of June Farrow. This is a little bit more magical realism than it is fantasy, but it still has a lot of very good fantasy elements, and it is wonderful. For the romance reader, the people who truly love romance, and I don't even want to say romantasy, just the romance lovers who want to dive into fantasy. Undermining of Twilight and Frank, really the undertaking of Heart and Mercy, but I can't find that book. Both of these. Read that one first, but I'm not a romance girly, but I'm obsessed with the romances in these books, and they are set in a really cool fantasy world. For epic adventure, the Bloodsworn Saga. This is intense, it is insane, but it is one of the best trilogies I have ever read, and it is only 3 books, so it is not that hard to get through. It is Norse mythology, and it is wonderful. Grimdark. I have not read a lot of Grimdark, but I did recently read The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. This is not out yet, so I'm very sorry that it's included on this list of books you should read, but maybe pre-order it. I don't know. This is so good, though. I had a blast. It is unhinged and has the most insane cast of characters. Urban fantasy. Jade City. The Greenbone Saga in general. It is set, I don't want to say in modern day, but there are telephones and TVs and things like that. It is set in a city, and it is one of the best fantasy series of all times. You cannot change my mind on this. I'm dying on that hill. This is just spectacular. If you love world building, The Grace of Kings. So much of this book is just world building, but I could not put it down. It is addictive, despite the fact that it is primarily composed of world building. Quirky fantasy. You want something a little out of the box, the non-traditional. Starter Villain by John Scalzi. This is hysterical. I do not have words for how good and how funny this book is. If you're an audiobook person, you have to do it on audio, but even if you're not, it is so good. And graphic novels. For the people who love a good graphic novel but want some of those fantasy elements, Lore Olympus. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling set in the modern day. It is so much fun. It does tackle some heavier subjects, but it is very much worth it. And bonus, there are loads of them. I think it is up to volume 8 or 9 right now, which is fantastic.